Lyle and Erik Menendez have been sitting in a Southern California prison for over 3 decades.
Two brothers, Erik and Lyle Menendez, dated Lyle and Erik Menendez.
And the Menendez brothers fight for freedom.
The Menendez case is one of the most infamous criminal trials in America.
It's always better when you have our guests in studio, especially when it's one of my favorite people on the planet, Sasha Masjedi.
Sasha Masjedi grew up in the heart of Beverly Hills, walking the same halls as Lyle and Erik Menendez. Sasha brings a rare, personal perspective on what the brothers were really like before their lives and their family fell apart.
The Menendez brothers were in jail. This is 1994. Like the OJ is relevant right now because of timely things that are happening.
When the OJ thing happened, the Menendez are probably in prison going, thank God OJ happened. There's more news on that now. Why now there may be a chance for them to get out of prison based on a TV show.
What were your initial thoughts of these guys when you first met them?
I saw Erik on the tennis court a lot because I used to play tennis. And he was an excellent tennisman. He was tall, he was athletic, he was strong, he had good strokes. And I saw Lyle a few times in the hallway.
Did you ever hear anything about that? Was there any talk? Like, hey, Jose Menendez, that guy's nuts. You know, he's a hothead, he's crazy.
My opinion on the Menendez is when you have an accomplice and someone is the mastermind behind of it, obviously they should pay more of a penalty than someone who's just going along and coerced into this. $17.6 billion that was defunded, that would have never have happened.
Lyle and Erik Menendez have been sitting in a Southern California prison for over 3 decades. The Menendez brothers. It's infamous. It's scandalous. Will they ever get out of prison? We're going to find out in March, potentially. The bigger question today is, what were those brothers like growing up in Beverly Hills? We are going to get to the bottom of that with one of their former classmates. Welcome, everybody. I'm Tom Zenner, host of 1 Degree of Scandalous, with the one and only Cato Kalin.
Good to be here again.
I love how we're easing in this.
Oh my God, you're pumped up, baby.
I feel like you play tennis. I bring the drama. Okay, so Cato, you and I were just talking a couple seconds. It's always better when you have our guests in studio, especially when it's one of my favorite people on the planet, Sasha Masjedi, who owns Modern Rug LA, an institute here in Los Angeles, the who's who of the entertainment world, the business world, you name it, they go there. They're the greatest rugs on the planet. I won't even try to describe them. All I can tell you is they're magical. They're unbelievable. We'll talk a little bit about that. But Sasha, you and I have been friends for years.
Yeah.
And I didn't know, Cato, till last week that you went to high school with the Menendez brothers.
Yeah,
I
sure
mean,
did.
you know, and we're going to get to all of that. Beverly Hills High School, probably one of the most famous alumni lists of anybody. When I read through some of the list of the alums there, it's going to blow you away. But again, the Menendez brothers are front and center right now, Cato. People are fascinated by this topic because they've been humanized maybe a little bit through Netflix and through some of this other stuff. And then how we've learned how creepy their parents are. So all of this is on the table today as we discuss this. And Cato, this is right up there, early 90s true crime, biggest stories on the planet with you. I mean, it was that happened before the OJ thing, but man, this one, like the OJ, is relevant right now because of timely things that are happening.
Right. I also think that when the OJ thing happened, the Menendez are probably in prison going, thank God OJ happened. There's more news on that now. So it kind of derailed how they were in the news. But I think, Tom, what you said with the Menendez, with Javier Bardem playing Jose Menendez and Chloe Sevigny playing Kitty, I think the writer I think they embellish a lot. I think they try to make them look so much worse, and I think that's why now there may be a chance for them to get out of prison based on a TV show. And everybody knows it's entertainment.
Yeah. And it all hinges on Nathan Hochman, the new DA here in Los Angeles, actually a qualified DA who actually wants to follow the rules of law and order, which is very refreshing here. We haven't seen that in the last 4 years, by the way. So we're going to find out maybe what the parents were like, you know, these kids growing up. I'm just so excited to dive into this with you, Sasha. Growing up in Beverly Hills in the 80s, and your backstory is you emigrated here from Iran.
Of course.
And then luckily your parents moved to Southern California instead of some other remote outpost. But what was it like? Because you grew up in Iran. Now, you were young when you moved here, but
I was 4.
This is all part of culture, right? People growing up all over the world, they associate LA with Hollywood, of the movies, everything you see on TV. You were a little bit young, but what was it like growing up in Beverly Hills? Was it as idyllic as maybe we think it is?
It probably was, to be honest with you. I mean, I had classes with Lenny Kravitz, Nicholas Coppola at the time, before he changed his name.
To Nick Cage.
Yeah, I mean, you just talked about Nathan Hochman.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Hochman's sister Nancy and I are close friends, and we still talk together, and we still see each other from time to time. Yeah, I mean, it's an iconic place. It really is.
I want to talk about the sponsor of this episode today. It's our very good friends at Aura. We've been working with Aura, I don't know, for almost a half year now. They have made such a difference for our listeners, our viewers, people that see this content. It's one of those companies that actually does what they say they're going to do, and it's such an important thing. They will protect your identity. I use Aura. They have found so many things that have helped me out, and we've got a very special offer for you just for watching this episode today from our friends at Aura. Think about the number of spam calls or texts that you receive every single day. Have you ever found yourself second guessing whether a message was real or a scam? What about a time when you were waiting for an important call, right? That phone rings, you're expecting something, you check out your phone and you're a little disappointed because you don't recognize the number. Did you end up answering every unknown number just in case? How did that experience make you feel? Aura will help remove your personal information from data brokers and people search sites that can then sell your info to identity thieves, scammers, and more. Or if you've experienced identity theft, think about what happened and how it impacted you. What did you learn from that experience? It wasn't fun, I know that. And what steps did you take to recover? Sharing your story can help others understand the importance of protecting their identity and inspire them to take action with Aura and their different features to avoid a similar situation. Aura monitors your personal data, including your social security number, across billions of data points like the dark web and public court records to alert you about potential identity theft. Every adult on the account, up to 5 adults, gets $1 million in identity theft insurance to help cover eligible losses and fees, with a total of up to $5 million in coverage. I get all of this from one app on my phone at one affordable price. I'm not leaving myself and my family vulnerable to data breachers and brokers. And if you don't want to either, you can go to aura.com/1degree to try 2 weeks for free. That will be enough time for Aura to find out if any of your personal data is exposed. Take advantage of our special offer from our friends at Aura. All the info is in the description of this episode. It's an amazing service and a fantastic offer from our friends at Aura. Yeah. You never know who you run into in the halls, including, potential murderers, I guess. I mean, do you remember
that's the last thing on your mind?
Exactly. But you never know how people's lives, where they go, and you never know what they're dealing with behind the scenes either.
It's like the yearbook saying, most likely to commit murder.
That's what I was thinking too. Right. You're not exactly
Sasha,
identifying that right
most
away.
Successful rug company owner.
Yeah. But I mean, when that thing hit the news, and then you knew the guys, you went to high school with them, and it was the biggest thing in the world. Everybody was talking about it. Did it trigger some memories and things, or what were your initial thoughts of these guys when you first met them?
Well, I didn't really meet them and talk to them in person, but I saw Erik on the tennis court a lot because I used to play tennis, and he was an excellent tennis player. I mean, he was already a man playing with boys. He was tall, he was athletic, he was strong, he had good strokes. And I saw Lyle a few times in the hallway, and at the time, 17, 18-year-old kids don't have toupees. So when I used to look at him walking down the hallway, I knew.
Did you say toupee?
I did say toupee.
In high school, he was wearing a toupee?
I remember seeing something like a greasy part of his head, like his hair was not natural. It looked like it was either.
And remember, that was a big part of the Netflix show.
I know that he wore one.
And he was really self-conscious about it, too. Because in Beverly Hills High School, I mean, you want to be looking your best. You don't want to be losing your hair at that age.
Right, and in a series, his parents didn't know that he had that.
Yeah.
And
Didn't his dad recommend him to get a toupee?
Well, it was at first he goes, I know what you're going through. It's like, you can't kid. Javier Bardem says that. He goes, I know what you're wearing, a toupee.
Yeah.
So, it was, I think so, right? That he was, he was wearing a toupee in high school. So, obviously, he was balding.
I mean, I come from a family of toupees, so I know a lot of people in my family and friends that have toupees, so you can't get that shit by me.
Oh, yeah. So you knew immediately.
So Sasha, there was something, you could see a little shine or something.
You don't expect
what's the tells for someone that's wearing a toupee in high school?
Well, obviously, if there's room between the scalp and the hair, and it's floating, it's not real hair because it's not rooted.
A lot of sweat, too, right? because it's hot to wear one?
Yeah. It's you get hot. I mean, it's claustrophobic to me. I could never do that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's young to be losing your hair.
Did the
it's very unusual.
Did people pick on him for that? Did he? I mean, that's really, like people,
Listen,
high school.
For the normal people, they can't tell that's a toupee.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you just had an eye for it because you've seeded it
I
up,
mean,
right?
yeah, I've seen enough.
Yeah. And then, the street that, the murders took place on, 722 North Elm
yeah.
Drive in Beverly Hills. House is still there. Do
Yeah.
you remember the house? Did you know people that lived next to
Of
him?
course. My closest friend lived at 717 Elm.
So a neighbor.
Yeah. My friend Greg, who lived right across the street.
Yeah.
And what was so ironic, and I've watched all the TV shows about the Menendezes and documentaries, they never mentioned that the grandma who lived downstairs right next door to them used to blast the TV. Literally like watching old Westerns with gunshots.
You mean
going
where
off.
it's noticed in the neighborhood? People could hear it? Is
You
that
could
loud?
hear it down the block, like 5-6's house. I mean, the house is down. It was
Yep.
so loud. I guess she was hearing impaired or something. And so whenever we would go outside, we would literally say, wow, what is she watching today? Like, she watching Gunsmoke? Or so, and what was really ironic is that her room was exactly adjacent to the mudroom that the parents, which is the media room where she watched films and stuff, it was exactly adjacent to the parents' room. So when those gunshots went up, nobody in hell would ever imagine that there's gunshots, first of all, in Beverly Hills. Second of all, I said, for sure, it's coming from the grandma's room.
Yeah.
I've never heard that angle.
I wonder,
Yeah.
Cato, if they had that in the back of their mind. Like, listen, her TV's so loud, they're not going to even hear it.
That would make it, because if she does it over and over and over, people are going to assume, oh, that's grandma's.
Exactly.
That grandma lady's TV. I mean, makes complete
I wonder if
sense.
they took that in consideration. Listen, Lyle was very calculative from what you hear and what you see. So it might have been kind of in the plot.
Well, okay, put it this way. If it's that blaring and everybody knows about it and she refuses to turn it down, I think about it. Back then, you're walking down the street, you're hearing commercials, like full speed, blowing out your eardrums. They had to have known that, right? They
course they
had
knew
to
that.
have taken
Of
that
course.
into account.
Lyle, I'm sure.
That, hey,
I'm sure.
man, because you wouldn't expect gunshots in Beverly Hills, and they would cause a stir, especially a 12-gauge shotgun.
Of
But if
course.
you're drowning that out with the soundtrack of an old lady's, CBS program she's watching at 9:30 at
sure it
night
mu-
on a Sunday,
I'm
Murder,
sure
She
it
Wrote,
muffled
or,
it, right.
or whatever it was at that point.
I'm sure it muffled the sound.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And it probably made it for them, less personal, less dramatic. There's chaos in the background. I mean, because if it's perfectly quiet and you're killing your parents with a shotgun,
Yeah, shotguns.
it's incredible. So that's a really interesting part of that
and
story.
I've never seen anything cover that, even on documentaries or anything. But you know what? That's something inside that
Yeah,
people would
sure.
only know if they lived on that block,
Yeah.
or you were across the street, or you knew the area.
Was she scary? Like, were people afraid to tell her to turn it down?
You know what? We just took it for granted. It was whatever it
Yeah.
was. She just can't hear, and she's got the TV blasted.
So your friend Greg, right? Greg lived across the street from the
Directly
Menendez.
across, yeah.
So obviously, when you were buddies, you were at his house a lot, or probably
lot,
hung out. And
yeah.
You probably saw Menendez's coming home from tennis, or
We didn't know because it was very private, the house. It was behind the gate. You had to go through a driveway. And I'll tell you, in Beverly Hills, nobody knows their neighbors.
but the high school,
like the names of them and everything?
No,
like,
you don't know your neighbors.
Yeah.
You moved to Beverly Hills because you don't want to deal with neighbors.
And plus, the lots are really big, too. It's not like you're, like, right next to
but
each other.
I would think
Yeah.
in Beverly Hills, especially in high school, you would probably have very cliquey. I mean, to make
Yes,
friends, it's got to
it
be.
is very cliquey.
I mean, from being Cuban,
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine there's prejudice.
Yeah.
Back then, like these are immigrants that are
Yeah.
here in Beverly Hills.
However, they're good looking, athletic, tall, wealthy, so it's much easier to fit in.
Well, now that brings another point. Tall, good looking, they fit in really well. But how psychologically does that screw up? Is it Lyle that wore the toupee?
I think it was live, yeah.
Like how for high school to wear a toupee? He can't go really dating or get close to someone, because if he says when he gets romantic with someone, I wear a toupee, he can't hide that, and that has got to destroy you because you're not fully developed yet. With
Or
your
it's something
brain,
that's
and
always
you're
on
like-
your mind when you're talking
Always.
to girls.
Yeah,
Or, yeah.
I'm sure it could create some kind of self-consciousness.
Yeah.
I mean, I always wonder if because they didn't do that in the series, if that really affected him in high school and to cause a
I'm
huge
sure it
problem.
affects a 17-year-old. Someone who's 17
Completely.
goes, unless you have alopecia or something, you're not used to it.
Yeah.
What's Beverly Hills High School like as far as welcoming in people that move from around the country? I mean, you got the Menendez brothers. They grew up in the East Coast, New Jersey, New York. Then they went to Calabasas High School. And then dad got the big job, so they moved in the music industry with RCA, so they moved to Beverly Hills. Are you guys cautious? I mean, hey, man, you're going to have to earn your way into even having the chance to talk to us.
Of course, very cliquey.
Yeah.
Well, also don't forget that Beverly Hills is a very tight-knit community. So we all went to the same elementary school. We all attended each other's bar mitzvahs. I mean, everybody knew each other. And so if you were kind of an outsider, you'd have to earn your way in.
Yeah.
It wasn't that easy.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't for them, and especially moving literally twice from East Coast to Calabasas and then to Beverly Hills. I'm sure it was a shocker for their system.
Yeah, was Leslie Abramson, was she a Beverly Hills person too, right? The lawyer for
Oh,
the Menendez?
of course.
Yeah, Bulldog.
Everybody, like you said, everybody knows
I
each other.
liked her.
You know, was there any buzz about the dad, Jose? Because, man, they really tried to paint the portrait that he's an abuser, right? Even a big part of the argument of these guys getting out of prison early is the fact that they were abused. Like, did you ever hear anything about that? Was there any talk? Like, hey, Jose Menendez, that guy's nuts. You know, he's a hothead. He's crazy.
You know, I'll tell you, my opinion on the Menendezes is they should be out, especially Erik, because, you know, when you have an accomplice and someone is the mastermind behind of it, obviously they should pay more of a penalty than someone who's just going along and coerced into this. And, you know, knowing the two characters and their personality traits, you could tell one was kind of the leader and the mastermind and the other just went along.
The big brother.
Yeah. So the fact they're in jail for 35 years, if this shit happened today, they'd be out in 15 to 20 max.
Well,
especially on good behavior. I'm sure they've had good behavior.
They have, and they've taken a lot of classes and tried to develop inside the prison walls.
They may be on Biden's pardon list. He did 10,000 somehow people, so maybe somewhere at the bottom.
Maybe you get to the bottom.
Oh, look, we've been pardoned. We didn't even know that for some of your shit.
We wasted a couple more
everybody.
days. Yeah, maybe Biden forgot. Oh, did I sign that? I think I was sleeping.
Listen, this doesn't mean that you should kill your parents, obviously.
Of course not. Yeah.
You know, there's no way you can justify this in any manner.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't like it, leave.
Yeah.
Call the cops. But there's no way to kill. So there was greed. But you know what? We all here, we've done shit when we were 17, 18, 19 that we're like, why do we do that? And, you know, you do stupid things when you're young.
Yeah.
You know, it's a normal pace of life to me.
But they went to the extreme. We have to admit it.
Absolutely.
But then again, what were they dealing with? If they were dealing with sexual abuse from their father, I mean, if you're a parent and you decide to do that, you know, you're taking your chances that you might get blown away. Okay. So do we know that for sure? Here's what kind of sells me on the fact that I think they should get out too. They've served 35 years. They've been model prisoners. I base it on this: the reaction of the rest of the family. Everybody else in that family, from Jose's sisters to the nieces to the cousins to the uncles, everybody, there's not one that detracts from that common theme that they should get out. Yeah. And they all speak kind of horribly about Jose. Then you hear other stories about them too. Now, I think the road's tougher with them. For them with Hochman. I do. I mean, he's tougher. He's no nonsense. He's really going to look at all this evidence. I think they would have been out if Garcon was still the DA. I think they'd be walking here in a couple weeks, probably.
Well, if it was Gascon, Charles Manson would be out.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's not a good.
Yeah.
You lit up when he said Hochman. Did you know him too? Or you said he was he also?
I knew his sister.
His sister.
Yeah, they're an incredible family.
So what do you...
I think there's David and Nancy and Nathan. I think he's the oldest.
Yeah.
And I think their dad was also an attorney.
So something's going to happen because he said he's going to look over all the files.
I'm sure he's
going to look at
all.
He's going to go, will they get another trial or not? I think he's going to let there be another trial. We'll find out. So
I don't know if they're going to do a trial. I think they're going to resentence.
And then time served. They'd be out based on the sentencing guidelines.
They're going to sentence them. They're going to say
20
to 30 years out and 15 years good behavior. And they're going to say you've been for 35, so you just walk out. And by the way, they would have been out if it wasn't for these fires. That's what's delayed everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the hearings were supposed to happen in January in this month, but now Hochman pushed it to March because of the fires.
Yep.
I love Hochman's stance during these fires, too, where he's gotten on camera, in the neighborhoods, don't even think of looting. We will find you. We will put you in prison. We're going to nail you.
We need this guy.
God, no kidding. It just feels safer in LA, just in general, just knowing that they have somebody competent.
And Caruso has just been great.
I was just thinking about that, Cato.
Caruso was
if Caruso was in office,
it's Sasha Masjedi night. He's a Jedi Knight. Kidding, folks, please. Okay.
Right.
Oh, what you saying about Caruso?
If Caruso was in office, those fires would never happen in Palisades.
Oh, completely.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
That $17.6 billion that was defunded, that would have never have happened.
Never.
And I know exactly what happened, by the way.
Okay.
What happened would we had 2 freaking rainy seasons. So they said, listen, our forests droughts over, our forests are wet. Let's take this money out of the out of the fire because we don't need it right now. Look how wet everything is, right?
Right.
And let's put it into immigration and people coming over the border and let's take care of them. Now just imagine the taxpayer in Calabasas. He's paid all this money for the security of his house, his neighborhood, his family, and suddenly that money is being allocated to something he has no relationship to.
Yeah.
Right.
And what's going on? Well, I mean, listen, I'm a lifelong Democrat. I've been a Democrat all my life. But what I've seen going on in the last 8, 10, 12, 14 years is disgraceful.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's
Well,
disgraceful.
the drought we had, all the waters, they reallocated it to go into the ocean.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no
and then
sense.
the reservoir, 117 million gallons.
117 million
It's
gallons.
under
It just
repairs. I think it's more nefarious than that. I think they said, how much money can we throw at homelessness and immigrants? And if there's anything left, or we'll take as much as we have to out of the first responders and public servants and everything. Yeah, I don't think they blinked twice about cutting the fire department.
No, they did.
by 17 million,
it's
not
all,
one
it's all
bit.
money. Follow the money trail. It's all about money, the greed. That's it. That's what killed.
It is, and we have to put a stop to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sasha, you must know so many people who lost homes.
I have about 50 clients that lost their homes.
50 clients, and
maybe more.
And Cato,
I
these
just counted the ones that we had relatively new clients. from
50,
there. Yeah.
including family members too.
Well, because that area is turning over. It's becoming younger. It's becoming hipper. It's becoming more modern, where they're rebuilding houses and they're knocking down walls and modernizing these homes. And that's where we come in with our rugs. But you know, I've had calls from at least a handful of clients, and they're like, "Can you send me old receipts? You know, my house is done. I'm gonna have to deal with adjusters," and I can't imagine what they're going through. You know, it's not a matter of rich and poor. Just imagine if someone's sweeping, even if you're a homeless guy sitting on the corner, you set up camp, somebody's sweeping the rug from underneath you, your life changes in an instant.
Yeah.
You know?
And you, Sasha, your store is in the heart of West Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's in a vibrant area. Everybody that's been to LA has driven on La Cienega. It's a great street. But you must have seen the slow erosion and decay of that street too over the last 10, 12 years, right? Including, I have a great story about your son.
Yeah.
You can tell it or I can. I can dig up the video on it too. I'd love to show that. When a homeless person lit his car on fire.
Literally right in front of our store.
Yeah.
And what was funny is he was trying to light the pole on fire, and I walked out there. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm going to light everything on fire." I'm like, "Listen, this pole is fire retardant. It's not going to. It's just going to burn your hand more." So he literally went 2 parking meters down, and he took some newspaper, put it underneath my son's car, and
Oh my.
and
God.
listen to this. He made it burn, and then he goes across the street and starts celebrating and laughing. And the police show up, and I told him, I said, "Listen, that's the guy who did it." He goes, "Do you have any cameras or anything?" I said, "I have cameras, but my next door neighbor, which doesn't have cameras, it was burned in front of his store." He's like, "Yeah, but we can't do anything."
Unbelievable.
Well, I don't blame the police.
I guess,
I don't blame the
but
police.
just the fact that someone blatantly did it in the middle of the day and they cannot be arrested.
Did they put it out?
I don't blame the police.
No, the whole thing. It was like a
blew up?
bomb.
It actually blew up
Oh,
the car.
the whole car is gone.
Well, Josh, send that video again. I
This
think I
is-
have
I
it somewhere.
have it on my
okay,
phone. I
okay.
can show it to you.
We'll show
that
it
is
here.
amazing that the guy got away with that. Of course, he's mental.
Listen, I have a saying with my wife that we talk about. It's called NGAF. Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Your waiter doesn't give a fuck. Your city employees don't give a fuck. Anybody that comes around you doing any kind of business, nothing has attention to detail anymore. And if in this world, if you're someone who's attention to detail, you will thrive in this country.
Exactly. It's that simple.
Did your store ever have looting? Was it close to that? Anything? Because Beverly Hills, at that one point, remember that whole Beverly Hills.
The good thing
boarded
about
up.
rugs, Cato, they're pretty fucking heavy.
Yeah, I know. But believe
Right.
me,
By the
I
time-
saw people stealing
Unless
a
you
lot
have a
of
flying
things.
carpet that
But
they
it's-
can like
yeah.
zoom out of there.
You're not going to lift the 300 pounds.
Cato, those
But
things
you
are
would-
heavy, man.
I
They
know
won't know how to roll
I
them
know
properly
that,
either.
but
Yeah.
there's craziness. I mean that.
Or they would just want to destroy it, just out of because they could.
Because you saw on Rodeo, they're
But listen,
breaking the windows and they had to board them up. And you're going,
watches, jewelry, phones, electronics, very easy to resell on the market.
yeah.
But rugs are very particular. It's you have to have a specific taste, and you really can't put it on them because they're going to say, "Oh yeah, that's mine." But with Rolex watches, there's 3 million of them.
Right.
Who knows who has it? Who knows where it came from? So, thank God it hasn't affected my industry in that regards.
Yes.
Hey, do you so 50 clients, their houses burn in the Palisades in Malibu. That's a lot of rugs. A lot of them probably have 2, 3, and these are very nice. They're the best. They are the best rugs on the planet. They're just different. Do you have a personal connection to these rugs? I mean, you bring them in, you pick them. Not that it's emotional or anything, but you must remember some of these.
I do have an emotional connection, but what I always tell people is if it's an inanimate object, I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's an inanimate object. I can replace it.
Yeah.
Like when I walk into my showroom, the first thing I make sure is that my plants have water, my employees are fed, and my plants are taken care of.
And your dogs.
And my dogs.
Yep.
So living things first and then materialistic things because everything else can be replaced.
It's a good way to live.
Yeah.
Getting back to the Menendez, when the crime happened, right? This is 1993, right? No, 1989, 1989, trial started in 93. Did a lot of you classmates like call each other or run into each other and say, holy crap.
We did.
Can you believe Lyle and Erik?
We did. And we all thought it was the mob.
Really?
Yeah. We all thought it was the mob.
That was kind of the first story that was spun, that it was a mob hit. And with Jose's background, maybe.
Because, people don't kill their parents from Beverly Hills.
12-gauge shotgun,
they might steal their credit cards, but
right.
And before social media,
they might steal their identity and go spend a couple million, right? White collar crime.
And you and your buddy Greg must have been communicating all the time, like, freaking believe it? This is the guy that lives across the street.
Yeah,
You're like, I got to come by. I mean, it obviously, like during the OJ thing, Rockingham was just a circus.
Of course.
So it had to be the same on Elm.
Oh, as my friend who was actually going home that day when the murder happened, he said he couldn't even drive to his house. He had to park the car a couple of blocks away and walk home because everything was just taped
Sounds
off.
like the parking arrangement here on our Tuesday.
The studio. Little rough. By the way, so we have pretty fierce parking restrictions here where we tape this in Hollywood. And on Mondays and Tuesdays, you can't park on a certain side of the street.
Yeah.
And sometimes I risk it. What are they going to do? Write a little ticket? I've had that before. I saw a tow truck parked on the side of the road, ready to yank anybody that was violating that
but
today.
You know what's funny is
I could go burn a car down though and walk.
When I was looking at the streets are filthy. So I didn't even see any street cleaners.
Yeah.
There's literally piles of mud gathered on both sides, the Monday side and the Tuesday side.
And that's what I was thinking too, because it's not like we've had rainstorms here and they come every week, and the streets are still dirty. They come every week here.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, LA is horribly badly run. It's horrible.
Well, I think it's going to I hope it's going to change because just on the drive here, and I'm just over the hill. I just can't believe the homelessness is just it's sickening. And Dr. Drew on a show said that people don't realize with the homelessness and sleeping outside and with rats that the bubonic plague could come back. And it's so possible because there's so much disease.
Now, talking about homeless, I know we gave up a lot of tax dollars for the homeless, and apparently Karen Bass coming in was supposed to cure us of this. The problem's gotten worse.
But yeah, they've got
it's gotten worse.
Everything's
gotten worse.
Have you guys ever been down to downtown on 6th Street and Skid Row?
Yes, yes. It's like you can't believe this is 2024, 2025, and this is happening in one of the most modern cities in the world.
Unbelievable. And
it's embarrassing.
What really doesn't make sense is that it's they want to house homeless people. It's fine, but if you house someone who's not treated, they have to be treated first before they're housed because you're not getting to the root of the problem. Whatever structure that you put homeless people into, a lot of them, I say 80, 90%, are either schizophrenic, bipolar, or have drug addicts. So unless you treat the problem, there's no reason to put them in places where they could possibly burn it down or turn the brand new apartment complex into a hellhole within 2 years.
Yeah. Well, it's a new day. Let's see. Hopefully things start becoming a little more bright throughout the country. And we're hosting the Olympics, in a few years too. I mean, could you imagine putting the city the way it looks now on display for the rest of the world? We got a real glimpse at some of the stuff that goes on here.
Maybe we'll clean it up just like the way Hitler did before 1936 Olympics.
Yeah.
Do you remember? If you know the history behind that,
go ahead.
Well, they had signs against Jews and put Jews out of business, kill Jews and everything. And 3 months before the Olympics, they had these people from the Olympic Committee to come and inspect it. So what they did is they took all the billboards and all the graffiti and everything off the walls, and they made it look like sparkling clean. And then they got accepted to do the Olympics in 1936. So are we going to do it again? Are we going to do it for the 2028 Olympics and then let it go to shit once they leave?
Depends who's leading the charge here,
Right.
where the politics stand. That's what they did in San Francisco when Xi came, right, to
President
visit.
Xi came.
Gavin Newsom cleaned up all of San Francisco for a weekend.
Oh,
Yeah.
and brought the Chinese flags
Yeah,
out.
right. That was crazy.
Right. And
Yeah. Hey, I'm going to tell you this crazy OJ Menendez connection here. This is kind of weird. So when the Menendez brothers were in jail, okay, so this is 1994. They were in jail, and they were in L.A., like L.A. City. I'm not sure exactly what jail they were in, and they were watching the Bronco chase. They were watching it, right, in the common area, and then the warden or the guards told the Menendez brothers to clean up their cell because OJ was going to be coming in and taking that one. It was like more of the high profile area.
Is that for real?
Yes. Yeah.
I thought it was just part of the TV show that they did.
no, I know that OJ was in the Menendez same. I don't know.
mean,
it was the same, it got their cell. This is
Yeah, but that's
the
what
same
LA's
prison.
like though. You know,
'Cause
the
in the show, the monsters, they actually they were talking to each other. He said, "Is that you, OJ?" He goes, "Yeah." "Who are you?" He goes, "We're the Menendezes." And they had like a little dialogue between the two of them.
Yeah. And
So it did happen. I don't know.
It did.
Sometimes in Hollywood,
he-
they like
you know,
to.
Ryan Murphy takes some
I
lead.
heard that
Yeah.
actually did happen back in '94 that because that was a news story
Wow.
of OJ being in the same.
Yes. And then the crazy thing too is, you know, they knew each other because OJ had been to the Menendez family to have dinner because Jose was a big
Hertz.
executive with Hertz.
Hertz, exactly.
So,
Wow.
but don't you find that though in LA?
Ironic,
Like
yeah.
everybody's connected, every
It's just
story, every
it's like
celebrity.
Kevin Bacon, 6
Yeah.
degrees.
Like
Like
just-
OJ.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the whole makes sense.
Yeah.
It's Beverly Hills. Everybody knows each other.
And that's why probably growing up in Beverly Hills, nothing phases you. Doesn't matter who walks in your store. You've seen them all. You grew up with them, right? What was
Yeah.
it like? So many old school Hollywood people lived in Beverly Hills. Were you guys crossing paths with them regularly?
Oh, all the time. You see them pick up their kids. You know, Carol Burnett, Jack Lemmon,
Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman I actually met. I couldn't believe how tiny he was. He is a tiny
He's like
guy.
5'3", 5'2", or 5'3".
He's
Yeah.
like in the low fives for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, but no, you don't get starstruck.
Yeah.
I mean, I get starstruck when I meet someone who's famous, who's humble. That's what hits me. Like when I went to Bradley Cooper's house and noticed what a cool dad he was, and how generous he was, and how he remembered all my employees' names and he thanked them, and you know and John Mayer, he was another great guy. I mean, you know, you do come across a lot of good people. you
And
know.
then are there the other stories? The
yeah, but you know
the
what?
nightmares that you have to deal with? I can only imagine.
I have a question for you. Tom's point, did you meet any of the actors that are in the Menendez Netflix show? Like Nathan Lane playing Dominic Dunn, or did any of the
No, they're mostly newcomers, so they're not old stars. I mean, by the way, the casting on that was phenomenal on Monsters. Phenomenal.
You thought it was good, right? Monsters on
Excellent.
Netflix.
Excellent.
That was Ryan Murphy.
Yeah.
Right.
Ryan
And,
Murphy.
Ryan, and then Ryan Murphy did the big OJ
Yeah.
big show. And Cato, what was
8
your
Emmys?
impression of that?
Well, I wrote for the New York Daily News. I wrote one article. They asked me to write one article for the New York Daily News. They gave me the screener before it came out, so I wrote the article. They loved it, and then the USA Today picked it up and put it on my article that I wrote. So it's like cathartic for me to be able to write about this. And they go, my God, Cato's pretty acerbic, funny guy. They gave me all 10 screeners. They did end up being one job writing all 10 episodes. And I said, it's so embellished because it's all ratings. They had the Kardashians at that time airing, were the biggest people on social media. So they're going to put him in more scenes, no matter what.
Sure.
Because they want people to watch it and gravitate to this and get the highest ratings. Well, it won 8 Emmys, or maybe even more than 8. I think it was nominated for 17. So Ryan Murphy, obviously Netflix said, long-term contract, and he continues to put out these great products.
Yeah, but you have the perspective of watching an actor, not a famous actor, play
Yeah.
your role. Play Cato, the K Train. And then you can say, I'm not buying that. Or, holy crap, how do you know
I
that?
don't know, yeah. When I answered Billy, I forget Billy's last name, Magnuson, Billy Magnuson, who played me in this thing, they had me as he played it basically as Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and I was fine with it. I even made fun of myself in the articles I wrote. Answering the door with the 4 detectives with my shirt off, like, "Hey, dudes, what's up?" I didn't think I said
How'd
that.
the Brewers do today? How'd the Packers do?
How the Packers.
They left that part out. Cato's from Wisconsin. He's not from Malibu.
Cool, man. Yeah.
Hey,
I figured you're
give
from definitely
Magnuson a
Midwest.
score.
You
1
give
to
me
10. 1 to 10. Magnuson playing Cato Kalin.
Oh,
Rate him.
I gave him a 9.
A 9.
Well, I mean, because he played he committed to playing it, even though it was a mistake. It wasn't who I was. His portrayal of what he thought Cato was great.
Yeah.
Was he close to that? It was a 1, because that's not me.
True.
But his performance is great.
Yeah.
And then I found out later everybody wanted to meet the actors, the other players in it. He didn't want to meet because he didn't want to end up saying, "Oh, I already made my decision about who Cato was. I don't want it to interfere."
He's made his choice as an actor.
He made a choice. So
of
he
how
knows
he
that.
never heard
interprets
that
Cato
before.
Kalin.
And then he did an interview, and
I mean, actors request that. They would want to.
You would think so.
complete-
Yeah.
yeah.
You want to pick up certain nuances and
I-
body
Or
movements.
see a part of their personality that you might not know.
But the interview,
Come on, Magnuson, you screwed up.
the interview that I saw him do on a TV show, and it made me feel great, is that he said, "I met so many people that knew Cato, and no one said a bad thing about the guy, and that he was charismatic." This is him talking. I'm being humble, but him talking, I said, "I love this guy." Whatever. So it's so funny
Give him
that
an
he
Emmy.
met, he met other
we feel
people.
the same. We feel the same.
He met all these
You
people
are.
that
You're
said these
amazing, man.
things.
Yeah. We love you, bro.
Any OJ scandal connected people roll through your store? Probably, huh? Not to put you on the spot.
I bet you Shapiro probably. Robert Shapiro. It seems like he's so Beverly Hills. He's like, the plea deal guy.
Robert Shapiro is the Kardashian parent?
No, he's
no,
the lawyer.
Oh,
He's
he's
the
the
lawyer.
attorney?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Robert,
yeah,
he's the
oh,
original
lawyer.
lawyer. Big time lawyer.
Oh, yeah. No. I know he taught at Loyola Marymount. I think he teaches law, but is he alive?
He's declining, but he's alive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's alive.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He's still alive. So
It's funny. That's all we say these days.
Is
It's
he
like
alive?
We talk about old movie stars. Is he alive? Is
Yeah.
he dead? It's like
Well,
you get to a certain age, you start. Your first question about everything is he alive? Is he dead? And we don't really know.
Well, it's sort of like you said, Gene Hackman earlier, because he retired from acting at all. And
is Gene Hackman alive?
that's what I was wondering myself. See,
I think he is, but he's very old. Gene Hackman's in his 90s.
and
He-
Clint Eastwood's 94.
Yeah.
And his better half he's not married to just died.
Wow.
Recently,
Exactly.
Recently, so and that's why his son Scott Eastwood was putting up there how his dad's doing, because that was his best friend of the woman growing up. She was 61, so he's 94. So
I think
It's
one of the
kind of
reasons
bizarre.
you go, hey, is that person still alive too? Is because I can't believe how fast 30 years is gone. Like to think that the OJ scandal was 30 years ago, it doesn't
Menendez
seem like
is
that. And Menendez, I was a senior
Good
in
point.
college, right?
Yeah.
1989. I remember it vividly. Absolutely. I was going to school in Northern California.
Well,
But
you look a lot younger than your age. If you were a senior in '89.
so do you. So do you, Sasha. We're about the same age, actually.
It's LA, man. We all
Right.
figure out a way to stay young.
It's all attitude, man.
It is
I mean,
attitude.
you have such a young spirit because
Thank
you have
you.
a loving spirit, a giving spirit, a caring spirit,
Yeah.
creative
difference.
spirit.
Thank
By the
you.
way, later on in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit more about what Sasha, a side project of his that is so explosively exciting. The Menendez brothers, Lyle was the 44th ranked player as a tennis player. Like, he was legit. Did you hear that he could actually play?
These kids were not kids. They were men. I mean, they were in exceptional athletic shape. Like, you can see them walking down the hallway. I mean, we're scrawny little 15, 16-year-old kids. We haven't really,
right.
but they were trained. Their dad was, I'm sure, probably hard workouts, trainers. They were in shape. They were in really good shape.
Yeah.
And Erik was tall. I remember Erik was around 6'1", maybe 6'2".
Yeah.
Very athletic.
And then he
handsome.
played in that tournament in Israel, right? When they were looking for him. He
That's
comes
right.
back and gets arrested.
It
right.
would be interesting to do is for people who visits them in prison. Like, who do you think is on their list of who goes to actually see them on their, when they're scheduled to get that hour or whatever, you can have a meet and greet with someone behind the plexiglass or whatever it is. I wonder who actually goes down. And I wonder how many people went down before the Netflix, if Ryan Murphy did. Did anybody actually go down there to talk to him to get the stories of what really happened? So it's a really really interesting thing to find
Aren't
out.
they both married?
Yeah, and one's been married and divorced and remarried.
Wow.
Yeah, they're both been
While-
married.
while they're
oh
in-
yeah, while in prison. No, they were getting
Do they have any kids?
solicitations. No, I don't think they had any conjugal visits.
Oh, they don't.
For real. Yeah. But these women that marry the men in prison and their like delusional loyalty to them is just unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Isn't it?
Off something that they just read. They don't meet the person.
Oh,
They-
yeah.
they fall in love from a letter, or they fall in love. It's just
The-
it's like the serial killer.
Oh,
like
the worst is Richard Ramirez, Night Stalker.
Yeah.
Oh, he had a fan club.
Absolutely, but he was scary looking too.
Oh, he was the devil.
At
But
least
you know
the
what?
Menendezes
If you
are
take
good
away the
looking.
teeth,
Yeah, he
the
did.
meth teeth that he had, and just
Yeah.
he almost had some model type features though, with the high cheekbones, and he had this kind of thing. If he wasn't the devil,
Yeah.
you know, maybe if he'd got a different
Yeah.
path in life, he could have made something of himself on a runway. But yeah, that's real. I mean, and then I studied a little bit too, as far as these women that the Menendez married. I mean, they were loyal, man, and like really bitter when they had to get divorced. One of them.
A lot of girls like bad boys.
You mean that Menendezes divorced them, or they end up
One
divorcing
of them, I don't remember if it was Lyle or Erik, divorced her.
How
right? And she was
bad a
but for
relationship-
somebody else, like, apparently someone's penmanship was a little bit better. He fell in love with her.
The sex
Right.
wasn't good enough.
yeah, that's a very sliding scale. Okay, here's some of the alumni that graduated from Beverly Hills High School. Sasha, you can tell me how many you ran into. Some of these are a little old, but Nick Cage, you already mentioned him.
Yeah.
Albert Brooks, Carrie Fisher,
Yes.
Angelina Jolie.
Never met her.
Okay, David Schwimmer.
Carrie Fisher's a client of mine.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Remember Dr. Alessi?
I got a great
Oh,
Carrie
yeah,
Fisher
yeah.
story to tell you too.
Okay, that's
Okay.
stand by for the Carrie
Well, that
Fisher
makes
story.
sense of being called the Jedi Knight. That's Jedi Knight. There you go,
David
Carrie-
Schwimmer,
David Schwimmer, yes, of course. He-
Desi Arnaz, back in the
This
day,
was
married
before my
Lucille
time.
Ball,
Yeah.
right? Lenny Kravitz, you mentioned him.
Yeah. Lenny was dope, man. Lenny was a cool cat.
I
His-
bet he
his mom-
was.
His mom was on.
I'll tell
the
you a great.
Jeffersons.
I got to tell you this great story. I think we were in 11th grade, and I was totally unprepared for a test, and I'm just going to lay it all hang out. And I was looking over, and I think there was a girl, and her name was Susan Shapiro, and I was looking at her tests and writing the answers, but I could barely see. Then I see over my shoulder, I see Lenny's copying my answers. I was going to tell him, let's just look the other way, because mine, I'm not even sure.
Yeah,
if
you
mine-
can't vouch for this, right? Sorry, Lenny.
But you know what? With today's world, where I mean, all the kids today cheat in class. Because
Oh, yeah.
they all have their phones.
Or they're on
Yeah.
They all
ChatGPT
have
or
their
something.
phones.
Without a doubt. It's, it's tough being a
we used
teacher.
to make notes inside our wristband, or
Yeah,
you
right,
know,
something
or,
down.
or something in the bottom of our shoes. Now they just blatantly bring out their phone and just scroll.
Yeah, but how? There's got to be a teacher's got to be aware of that nowadays.
Well, this year-
there's got to be new cheating methods. This is funny how
No, they're changing. LAUSD is forbidding all phones in classrooms.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're thinking about doing a 55-minute class and giving the last 5 minutes for people to do their texting and social media because they know they're going to go cold turkey if they don't get their phones for 7
So
hours.
they got to hand it in or just turn it off? They got to hand it in
can-
when you walk
get,
in?
you get suspended if you have your phone in class.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's going to work because, I mean, they're addicted. I mean,
No, they are.
Yeah. What,
even adults are addicted.
Or how about the 15
And it has
minutes
to be
TikTok
locked up.
wasn't working?
Yeah.
People were freaking out.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they have to really they can't put it into a locker because obviously people know lockers easy to break into. If someone knows the group is testing, if someone knows someone's testing, you could steal the phone easily.
I guess
So it has to be locked up somewhere in the
I
classroom.
guess you could turn it off and put it in your backpack, maybe. But if your phone goes off, you might get suspended and have to leave
I
the
mean,
class.
it's amazing too. That's a whole other thing. Of
But
how
I think
cheating
it's
cheating
great.
has changed.
I love that. I wish they would do that. I wish
I
they would
agree.
implement that. Because
Yeah.
first of all, kids can concentrate. You
Yeah.
know,
Well, it'd be like kids or weaning an adult off crack right away. I mean,
Yeah.
the first few times in
turkey.
classes having to turn,
Yeah.
they're just not
they
used
might
to
have
that.
the shaky and the
Yeah.
shivers.
For sure, they just
Start
they're
sweating.
All the way,
attached
yeah.
to it.
You're wearing your toupee. You're sweating.
Hey, but you know what? A lot of us adults aren't. You know, I'm not on TikTok, but I'm always information.
Oh, you're not on
Yeah.
TikTok?
Well, yes, but I'm not
I'm not.
scrolling through TikTok
not?
for entertainment.
No.
I'm not really doing that.
I don't do Facebook and Instagram, but I love TikTok.
for just
Yeah.
content.
You know, the reason I love TikTok, and I'll tell you, is when I'm on Instagram, I feel like an obligation to like my friend's post or you know, give them a happy smiley face or a heart. When I'm on TikTok, I don't have to give anything to anyone. I'm just scrolling organically. I'm seeing fresh things. No one's trying to sell me anything. No one is showing off their bodies or what vacation they went to or what they're having at what restaurant and what dinner. It's just TikTok is organic. It's there's nothing. No one's trying to.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
With the extra of the commercials,
Right.
no one's trying to sell you anything.
The problem is once you start liking a couple of them, then you only get that content, and it's the same thing in different versions.
Well, you can change it.
Okay, I need to learn that
You
algorithm.
know, you can change your own algorithm.
Okay, all right. Couple more famous grads: Rob Reiner, Betty White, and my top 5 my favorite actresses, please, all day long. Gina Gershon.
Oh, Gina.
Oh, I got a chance. I'm kidding.
Of course. Yeah.
No, Gina Gershon.
You forgot to mention somebody who is very, very important actor in Hollywood, Richard Dreyfuss.
Ah.
I sat in his seat in biology, and the teacher told me, he goes, "You're sitting in Richard Dreyfuss' seat." I said, "What, 1955?" She goes, "Yeah, exactly."
What did they commemorate it or something, or she just remembered the teacher was old school?
Beverly Hills High School has been around since the 20s, I imagine.
Yeah, it just it's
It's got a
star-studded.
long legacy.
I wonder who went to Hollywood High compared to Beverly Hills High. If there's because back in the heyday, Hollywood High was also
Yeah, of course, because
It
all
was
the people that lived in
Hollywood Hills up in the area.
Hollywood Hills, and also that area on 6th Street. What is it called?
Echo Park? No,
Over by the
Hancock
Grove?
Park.
Hancock
Yeah.
Park. I knew it was a
Hancock
park. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very very
I'm
wealthy.
fascinated by that. The classmates that go to school together. You get Snoop Dogg and Cameron Diaz, classmates in Long Beach, right? Tom Brady, Lynn Swan, and Barry Bonds all went to the same high school, San Mateo High School.
Wow.
There's schools in New Jersey where you look back and you see that, Frank Sinatra, Barbara Streisand. Then you got Bon Jovi. You got all these iconic. I mean, some of them went to the same high schools. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your Carrie Fisher story?
Oh, Carrie Fisher's my client. She was pretty cool, man.
Princess Leia.
Yeah, she was very cool. Unfortunately, she was always on something.
She had some personal struggles, some demons,
Yeah.
and she could
She had
not shake
demons.
them, man. And that almost defined her. I mean,
Yeah.
what happened to her, later on in
Yeah.
life, it was a
It's
big
She was
part of it.
very sweet,
Mhm.
funny, quirky.
her first film.
Huh?
You know what her first film was?
No.
She probably she played with Warren Beatty, who I think is also Warren's also a L.A. born.
Yeah?
Warren Beatty.
Might be.
Well, she played the tennis player in Shampoo.
Oh,
Where-
wow. Shampoo.
In
Wow.
Shampoo,
Yeah.
she was a young kid, and his character George Roundy sleeps with her. So, but that's when I think that started because she was incredibly back then huge breast, real.
Thank you, Kato.
Everything.
But everybody remembers that scene.
every-
That was-
Oh, yeah,
They made it a thing in that
Kato,
film.
Everything was real back then.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. There was no butt implants. There was no duck lips, and all the other
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And
Hey, say the Menendez brothers get out. Are they capitalizing on? Do you think they'll have offers lined up
they're
for
instant
books?
millionaires.
Yeah, I agree.
Instant millionaires.
I agree.
In
There's
what
going to
way,
be
though?
bidding
What
wars.
way?
Well, book number 1, appearances number 2. I think they can make
Appearances.
appearances.
But
Appearance.
who hires them for an appearance?
It'll
Everyone.
happen. It'll
Everyone.
happen. I'm not sure, but
Jimmy Fallon.
Appearances on these talk shows. I don't know if
well-
a talk show mainstream. I think.
okay, someone's going to do it.
Yeah,
We'll
but
try.
They paid
I'll
their
try.
price. They paid their price. And don't forget one thing about Americans. We tend to forgive people
yeah.
very fast. We have a very kind heart, you know? Look at Mel Gibson. He's still producing and making movies after anti-Semitic things. We forgive and we forget, and that's who we are.
And there's only one
But
version of the story.
I think murder is different. I just personally think it's different.
But Cato, the whole narrative of sexual abuse is attached to this
I understand
thing.
that, but they probably will become instant millionaires. But I just think there's going to be a divide, and we know that.
But
So-
I do think there'll be a market, and I do think it's 7, 8 figures, easy, 8 figures. I do.
Are you
Over
talking
10 million.
about over time?
Over 10
so
million.
their first sit down.
No,
if
I'm
they
just
d-
saying there's a market for these guys coming out.
Yeah.
Because, they've handled themselves well in prison.
They have.
And there's only one narrative that exists because the
Yeah.
parents are dead. So nobody can say any other version of what happened other than what they say, and they're out of prison.
Sasha and Tom, and I'll talk to the camera. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Do they, if they get out and they have a sit down, do you think it's a mistake if they say we're going to give this to some sort of charity, and what would the charity be? But do you think that would make them look even worse because if they do a domestic violence or whatever it is, do you think, Tom first, what do you think?
I think there's a 15% chance that they might donate something to it, depending on the publicist or the lawyer that's guiding them. B, I hate donations to big charities where you really don't even know what happens with the money. There's so much overhead with some of these nonprofits. The executives are paying themselves. They're flying first class. I believe you go right to the problem. If you're wealthy, if you have a lot of money, if you can help people, I say you find the places where that money makes a difference that day. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do when I'm super
and it's
rich.
not lost along the shuffle.
Yes, I want to help people that need help today.
Exactly.
Got to pay a bill, got to do this. That's where I would do it. So again, look, I'm just interested in the story, but I'm in the scandal business. Like, I don't want this attached to charity or anything. I don't want this story sugar-coated. If they want to make a donation, they should.
Yeah,
maybe behind the scenes.
Keep it
private. I don't give a rat's ass about that. But I do think, Cato, because they have personality too, right? They're not good looking now, but back in the day, and everybody's mesmerized by this story. It's one of those big mysteries that's out there in true crime.
And right here, we're sitting around talking about them.
I
so
mean,
they
there's
become
5
stars
stories, or there's a handful of stories. It's OJ, it's the Menendez, it's Jean Benet, and it's going to be the Idaho killings. There's just
Netflix.
some of these
They'll all be
stories
on Netflix.
that there is an unending appetite out there for this story and this content.
Dahmer,
Milwaukee. Did you go to high school with Dahmer?
I didn't, but getting back to charity, I was upset that Sasha's charity was hot tubs without borders. I think it's a mistake. Or Palm Beach Tennis Club. Those are mistakes. They don't need money, Sasha.
The Swedish bikini team needs a new plane.
Sasha, no.
How about you? Come on, Cato.
Sasha.
Sasha, you're up.
What's the premise of the question?
Well, I'm wondering because of if they get out, people think that I think they would be thinking, oh, you know what? I'll give certain money to this charity because it'll make me look good. And it looks like it's all too pre-planned. So I'm saying, do you think it's a mistake if they're out and they give money to a charity, if they'll...
You mean if it'll lessen their credibility?
And I think so.
I think if they did give a charity,
yeah,
it should be for child abuse and sexually abused children, trafficking of women, and things of that sort.
Yeah.
Something that correlates with what happened to their lives. But if they give it to breast cancer society, it's like it has no correlation.
No, I get that. But I think what you said, I think that makes them look like...
Selling out?
Yeah. I don't think it makes them look good. I think if they're going to do it, like I said, I don't have an answer. What would do?
Well, put it this way: what if they said we're going to give 50% to trafficking or you stopping
sexual abuse
in children? Yeah. Makes them a little bit more credible, less greedy, whatnot. I mean, who knows? I don't know.
Or conditions of prisons, even.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what: these guys, there's no sugarcoating the fact that money's important to them. If you talk to anybody back in the day, that's what they were talking about after the murders. They were on a spending spree. They liked money. They haven't had any money in 35 years. Yeah. You know, they might just try to hold on to it or get rich. I don't know. But I think the opportunity to get rich is there.
But I'll tell you one thing. It's the same thing as when you're in the hospital. The last thing you're thinking about is money. You're thinking about your health. And I'm sure these kids, the last thing they're thinking about is money. They want to get out. They want to be free.
Just freedom?
Yeah. That's the most important thing for them.
Well, if karma exists and, it is blood money, and if this was a horrific, just ruthless, cold-blooded killing, and there was none of this abuse in the family, then
there had to be something
bad's going to happen to them if they start raking in the millions.
There had to be some kind of abuse.
That's my opinion, too.
But the thing is, even with you guys talk about the abuse, I just think it's horrific that as soon as they kill the parents, they start spending spree. And you knew it was...
That was Lyle. It wasn't Erik. It was Lyle. He actually... I mean, in the show, from what I saw, it looked like Erik felt guilty. He's like, what are we doing here? Why are we... And he felt uncomfortable. You know, listen, you have two contradicting people here.
Right.
I mean, obviously, they're different age. They're different signs. One is a Sagittarius, and I don't know what Lyle is, but they have different mentalities. And I think it sucks more for Erik. Yeah, I think he's a sensitive guy. I think he wrote this stupid thing that he wrote about killing his parents, and he just wrote it because he's a writer and he wanted to write something that. But I think the mastermind behind it.
I think the cold-blooded nature of this points to something nefarious going on inside that house, because you're greedy. You know, you're spoiled. You're a little piece of shit kid, basically, that just wants money, wants your parents' money. You're not blowing them away with a 12-gauge shotgun. I don't think. As mercilessly as that was, I mean, Kitty's crawling away, right? She got it in the face. Jose got in the back of the head with a 12-gauge shotgun.
Yeah. There's no head left. It's
when you mentioned the mafia, like in your clique or your group, you guys were thinking when the news hit, this was a mafia hit, because that was some of the initial stories. That's what people thought. He had some sort of connection to the mob. Was there any more to that, or was it following the storyline of what the news was reporting, or did anybody else think that Jose was connected somehow?
Well, I have friends of mine that their father was in the mob. So that being in Beverly Hills, there was different mobs, by the way. There's the Italian mob, there's a Jewish mob, there's all types of different mobs. So the only thing that made sense was a mob hit. I mean, he had a lot of influence in the record business and real estate and whatever thing what he was doing. So the mob hit, it just seemed to be the easy fit. You know, there was nothing stolen from the house. There was nothing taken. There was no forced entry. So, but however, the mob doesn't go back and pick up their shells. And that's one thing that...
Never? Is that what they do?
They don't pick up their shells.
Okay.
Boom, boom, boom.
Got to get on to the next hit.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So
they usually wear a glove. They drop off the weapon so they don't have anything, and they leave. Obviously, they weren't professionals.
Yeah.
If you saw it from the show, that they still had bullets and rifle
in the car,
in the back of the trunk.
Yeah.
And he had to go back and pick up his tennis racket to go pick up to make sure they don't see it.
Well, the big 5 receipt, everything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my goodness.
Well, they initially tried to buy a handgun in San Diego. And then there was the Brady rule, so they had to wait.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to wait, so then they ended up getting the shotguns.
And they used their friend's license or something to get it.
And that just points, it's premeditated.
They're not
and
professional,
it's
yeah.
Yeah,
They're
and
not
but it's like,
professionals.
makes you think, oh, they wanted to kill their parents.
Well,
so what was it like for you with your parents? Was that the dinner talk for like weeks and weeks? Your parents get a theory too? Like, that's mafia?
Not at all. No. We grew up a tight-knit family, lots of love.
No, I meant, but
like-
wasn't that conversation?
No, just
Every
talking about the story.
Just talking
It had to be the
about it.
talk.
Wasn't that
Especially,
like the talk?
you went to
like-
the same high school.
Yeah, I mean, until we found out that there was the kids, even my parents thought it was the mob.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
for sure it was the mob. And then when they found out, I mean, there was just, my mom was, she was horrified.
Right.
She goes, how could anybody do that to their parents? And I said, I don't really know.
Right. Yeah.
But, listen, you grew up in a household where there's a lot of beating, sexual abuse, verbal abuse is even worse sometimes. Sometimes verbal abuse accumulates, So all that stuff, it might have, it's not all about money. I don't think it's all about money. I really don't. Because if they would have waited their turn, they would have made more money. Jose would have made 10 times that money.
Yeah, it was equivalent of about 14 million.
I don't think it's all about money. I'm like 99% sure it wasn't all about money.
But he did cut them off, and that was a big part of it. He said, "You're out of."
He was bluffing. Come on.
No,
He was
but
bluffing. Jose
you're
was
young, you never
bluffing.
know.
He wasn't going to cut those. He loved those kids. Maybe he loved them a little too much.
Well, they had a weird way of showing it at times.
Well, on the show, that there was a scene at the end where Jose was talking to his mom, and he goes, "All those things you did to me, I did it to my kids. Now I have you to blame." Do you remember that scene at the end?
But then again, it's in the show,
huh?
and you never know what to believe.
However, sexual abuse is a chain. People that get molested as children usually become child molesters themselves. It's a chain, and you can trace it down maybe 6, 7, 8 generations sometimes.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it is. It's a chain.
Right. And then you go, what did Kitty have to do with this? Right.
Nothing.
But if she wasn't, well, I disagree.
She witnessed.
If she knew it was going on and allowed it to continue, especially with the older one, and then, even longer.
Bro, she was on so much Vicodin, oxycodone, and stuff like that. She was numb to everything. You can't really blame her. You have a
But
dominant.
I give her a little blame. I give her some
No, you
blame.
can't.
I have
You
to.
can't.
I have to.
You can't. And I'll
because,
tell you why. Can
well,
I
these
tell
are
you
her
why?
children.
Can
And
I
if
tell you-
she knew their husband was abusing him,
Okay.
she's culpable.
But if you were in her shoes and you have this super alpha male husband who's stronger than you, who's got more power than you can't say shit.
See, here's what I would say.
You can't.
If it were me, I'd kill him, to protect my kids. I think you protect your kids above
she
all.
was drugged out most of the time. She was on painkillers. And she was painkillers, smoking and drinking wine and Chardonnay at 2 in the afternoon to numb her pain. You can't blame her for this at all.
Time out. If this lasted 10, 15 years or however long it did, and she knew about it, I don't care how much
She's a
Chardonnay she was
subservient,
drinking.
Tom. She's a subservient. She's serving under
But
this
she's
alpha
also a
male.
human being, and those are her children.
Yeah, but-
and I
but
just think, where is that protection?
She's been held down and put in a corner. She has nothing to say in that family. She has nothing. She's just...
Boy, she really knows how to pick men.
Well, people do change. And a lot of people, they'll show you one face, and as soon as you put that ring on, another face comes out.
Well, she knew that he was cheating on her. I don't know about with the kid, but she knew he had affairs. That was openly that he had affairs with other women all over.
Of
So
course.
that's why I also think that if a person has affairs with a lot of women, I don't. The abuse thing, I'm not buying all the stuff on the show. Me personally, I don't know what's
What do
real.
you mean?
I don't know if they're.
You think it was for the money?
I know from what I saw when I saw the show that they did the OJ story. I said, boy, there's lots of embellishment that didn't happen. So I don't know, the writer, what's going to get ratings and all that. So it's we don't know. We know a series, but we don't know. No matter what, we don't know the real story.
It's not about
We'll
it's
never-
based
we'll
on
never know
true
because
events.
We won't
right?
know, but we can think for ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, completely.
I mean, Cato, that's a huge part of the story, though. Did Jose abuse the boys?
Right. And
Do you think he didn't? Do you think this was just greed?
I think he did verbally. I don't know about. I just don't know.
Well,
Listen,
then you
listen, can I be
he's a
honest with you?
Cuban Latin man, and I think
Exactly, Cato.
Yeah.
You have people from different ethnicities.
Right.
The husband plays a different role. In Italian families, literally the first minute you get married, they say you got to slap your wife across the face and let her know who the boss is. Each
Culture?
culture
Yeah.
has a different way of treating their wives. So, and their culture is very dominating, and the woman is just a subservient. She's basically just a womb for him to make his kids. So did she have any fault in this? I mean, I really don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay, here's the
I
other thing.
really
though.
don't.
Look, the way I grew up isn't how I treat my kids. Don't you want to learn? I mean, I just don't say, hey, culture dictates how you act,
Tom,
and you
you're
can't
special.
stop yourself.
You're special.
I don't know, man.
Not everybody's that special. It's a chain.
I think it's an excuse.
Things that happen to you from the age of 3 and 6, those sponge years, those affect you the rest of your life. They really do. Even whether you try to stop it, things that happen to you, they do make a difference in your life. And if you're strong enough to overcome that, you're one out of every 100,000 maybe. But a lot of people that don't.
Sasha,
We're humans.
You know my wife. If I don't pick up some dirty socks, I'm in trouble. Okay? So let alone am I getting away with felonies. She's looking the other way. It ain't happening.
Maybe she's the reason. Maybe she's the reason who you are. Exactly.
When you are but I like that. Tom's dirty socks. So being in Hollywood, your store. How many years have you had?
26 years.
26 years.
Yeah.
So you see a lot of stars. They come into your store.
Yeah.
Do you ever say, boy, I think I could write something. I think I could do something. I think I have what it takes.
Even if you do, you don't say anything.
Because you're an artist at the heart.
Keep it to yourself. So have you, is there something going on that you are?
He's teeing you up.
Oh, you're teeing me up for my TV show that I'm making.
Oh, you have a TV show? I didn't know.
Well, I'm making a TV show. It's a 8-part series. Can't give away too much, obviously, but
Who gets shot?
Well, we can't say that either.
Okay, so shooting. Okay,
But
good.
It is about a very strong religious character that will come back and will change the world. And I'm hoping that this show can shine a light on people and give people hope and inspiration and make people more passionate and more compassionate. And because the world's in a very bad place right now. It really is. There's so much greed and people just walking over people, and the moral ethics and the moral compass of this country, and not only this country, but the world is totally offbeat. Now listen, in 1984, I watched a movie called Rocky IV. Corny, every movie in the 80s was corny boxing movie in the 80s.
Rocky IV was the Dolph Lundgren.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was about Russia and the whole Cold War and everything. That movie, as corny and weird as it was, it made a difference in society. It made a difference in how we looked at Russians and Russians looked at us, and how that we were better off battling in the ring than on the battlegrounds. And it moved the needle.
Yeah.
And what I'm hoping to do with this show is I'm trying to move that needle and give people hope and inspiration. That not everybody's bad, and that the light that you shine hopefully will reflect back on you.
So what you just said, was this your pitch in the actual meeting? Like, did you pitch this already?
I haven't pitched it to anybody yet.
Well, that's a good pitch.
Here, let me.
I've written it and I want to produce it myself. It's not easy. It's my first one, but
I'll jump in because I've been. I know the genesis of this, and it's truly when you read what Sasha has come up with and what he's written, it literally gives you chills. Or when he explains the full story, and walks you through for the first season or the first episode and the cliffhangers. It literally leaves you with chills. And I think, you know, the backstory of how you even got the vision to do this is incredible. You could talk about that. But Cato, a lot of the big players in town know about this. There's some people that hear a little bit of like a elevator pitch on this thing, and some names are jumping. You know, so what Sasha's doing, he has the means to produce his own content, and he wants it in the right hands and this story told the right way.
Of course.
So he's in a great position.
It's your baby.
Right? Where he can finance this thing, or he can tell somebody to take a hike. And you've already done that multiple times.
Yeah.
The other key is assembling that team of writers that share that same. So nothing is sacrificed. Nothing deviates from your vision.
Yeah, when I sat down with my writers, I told them, listen, if you guys are here for money, you guys are here for fame, ratings, you're in the wrong place. We're going to create a story that's going to change people's lives and for the better. And it's going to give people hope and just a different outlook on how you should treat your neighbor, your friend, your mother, your family, your son. It's all about love. And a lot of the shows I watch today, it's always endings that leave me completely obscured to what's happening, or really bad endings that I feel rotten inside. And I just, you know, Sylvester Stallone said in his he wrote a TV series called Sly. It was about his life. And he said, I want to leave the audience happy after every one of my movies. And that's something that's been lost in the art of movie making.
I think also the last, I don't know how many years, we've been a nation of everything's mean-spirited, and we need uplifting. So, you know, I think it's been sort of a series of people looking at the, it used to be looking at the light at the end of the tunnel, but people are, I think it's been the end of the tunnel trying to find light. So this is
for example, this show, we deal with opiate addiction, bullying, race, gender, religion. And I just want everybody to know that we're all just one. We're all just human beings. We're trying to get along on this tiny little rock in the middle of this massive galaxy of planets and stars, and that there's more to life than just trying to, you know, step on your coworker and trying to get up the ladder and making money.
Yeah.
And once you figure that out, the most important thing in life is giving love. And whether it's nurturing anything in life, you reap the rewards. You nurture a plant, you get fruits from it. You nurture your wife, she becomes a better wife.
The money will
find
find
your kids. You just have to nurture everything in life. You nurture your business. You're the ones who reap the rewards.
Pretty simple.
So I think life is all about nurturing, and we've lost sight of that. And I'm hoping this show can kind of light that fire again.
This is your first foray into the entertainment industry.
Yeah, it is.
What's the roller coaster been like for you? Because there's ups, there's downs. It's easy to get dejected, right? Because you're basing something on somebody else's opinion that really doesn't matter to you, but they control the ability to get it made. But then you've gone back and refined some things. But does that faze you at all?
You know, when you're focused on something and literally obsessed, when you get obsessed with something, you just won't stop until it's done. And I played competitive sports. I'm very competitive. I just don't like losing. And if I start something, I'm damn sure to finish it. And it's not this. I'm not doing this because of me. I'm not doing it for fame. I'm not doing it for money. I'm not doing it for ratings. I just think it's something that's been bestowed upon me from a higher power for me to share this vision with everyone across the universe.
How did you get the first spark for this story?
I had a dream. It all came in a dream of mine. And for the next 3.5 months, I started writing.
Was it a dream that was more powerful than other dreams you had? Did you feel like this was special?
You wake up and you feel like the light of God is inside of you, and you have to share it.
So what'd you do? Did you grab a pen and start writing? Or
actually, in the old days, you'd have grabbed the pen, but I just grabbed my laptop and I just started going. And my wife woke up at like 4:45 in the morning. She goes, "What are you doing? You can't sleep again?" Because I have a bad time sleeping. She goes, "What are you doing? You can't sleep?" I said, "Honey, I just had a dream. I got to write it down. Just go back to sleep." And I just started typing. And that typing went on for 3.5 months. And I just created.
So you didn't sleep for 3.5 months? My gosh, you are amazing.
I'm on 4 hours sleep tonight.
Wow.
Today. But yeah, you don't need much sleep. You really don't.
No, I get 5, 4.5, 5. That's what I get. Did you have subsequent dreams that developed the story? Or was there enough that just triggered you at that moment where it just kept flowing and flowing and flowing?
The funny thing is, this was something that I had in my vision like 10, 15 years ago, and I shared it with my son. And he goes, "Well, you know, Dad, one day you got to write about this." I said, "When the time comes." I've multiple businesses and I'm doing other things. And I said, "When the time comes." And then when it came into my dream, and then it wouldn't leave. And then every time I go back to sleep, I almost like went back to where the dream ended. So I'm like, this is something that's been bestowed upon me by a higher, and I just got to follow through. I just got to do it.
Yeah, it's almost like you're required, you're burdened. I mean, or almost like you feel a
burden.
responsibility because this story can be so powerful and move so many people. Do you almost feel like it's a responsibility?
Yes.
I've got to finish this.
Yes, it's a and I won't be happy until it's done.
Sure.
So as of this taping, right this very second, where's it at? Is it ready to go out to networks?
We're thinking about shooting the pilot in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Starting. So as of this taping, you're ready to go.
We have a 55-minute pilot that we're thinking about cutting it down to about 45 to 50 minutes and shooting it. But a lot of things happen in the movie industry while you're shooting it. There'll be a lot of lines you'll add. There'll be a lot of scenes you'll take away, and all that is part of the creative construction of something. For me, creativity comes naturally to me. Like you put me on a drawing board or write songs or poetry, whatever it is, I just flow. But if I have to go sit in the accounting office for 2 hours, I get anxiety. I'm crunching numbers and stuff like that. And listen, every mind is different. Some people have that mind that's better with calculated stuff, and some people are creative and crazy. And I wouldn't change a thing.
You got a role for like a quirky Uber driver over here that keeps everybody laughing and find a role for Cato. Let's get him in there.
Anything you want. We have a lot of roles. Would you like to?
He'll keep the.
I know you. It's going to be a bagel.
Hey, he'll keep the set light. There'll be a lot of fun, a lot of joy.
It's going to be good. I'd love to have you on board.
Nothing but best of luck. Just
Thank you so
keep
much.
doing what you're doing because it will land at the highest level and it will make the maximum impact. I just know it will. The very first time he told me about it, where he gave me the true details of the story. I can't wait till we can actually do that on the show here.
There's so many so many scenes that will send chills down your spine.
Yeah, I think the key is to get into you go into an executive meeting with your passion and your pitch. I think you get a
don't take any shit
production
from those
company's going to
people.
put the money up to get able to shoot that.
Yeah.
Go through crew, line producers, because it's that good.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate
you
that.
should.
And I'm not stopping. I'm going all the way until it's done, and I won't be happy until it's done.
Yep. And if any of these Hollywood people, give you a hard time or anything, or they're jerks or unscrupulous, you got a place to talk about them and name names. Come in here, we'll
Get
expose
Nick
them.
Cage involved. He always helping people out. He's your high school.
The good thing
buddy.
is when you're not dependent on Hollywood money, you don't have to listen to anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? So you can just do your own creative, kooky, crazy stuff, and they might say, "Wow, this is the greatest show I've ever seen. We want to buy the next 6 episodes."
And there's so many outlets for it too. There's so many different streamers and networks.
Well, wrong place, wrong time. I'm still passionate about it. I think it's the most wonderful. I still, to this day, we did something, and I shot a show. I won't get into it because I get upset, but it's so brilliant, and I still can't believe to this day it's not.
Yeah, it's a concept called Wrong Place, Wrong Time. Cato would be the host, and it's kind of people that are, the third wheel in a crime where their life changes, but they weren't the victim. They weren't the ones committing the crime. And there's so many stories like that. You go on and on, season after season.
It's amazing.
Did you shoot it?
Yeah, I shot a teaser reel.
Yeah, we were
Amazing.
attached to a big production company, like big time true crime.
Yeah, the biggest, the most hours on national TV.
Yeah, it's not over. I mean, sometimes these things just take a little bit longer. You got to just, stick with it, find the right partner.
Right, networks they get rehires like every 4 months. If someone, what happened to? He's gone. So there's always new people that are running parts of a network.
I think content is going to change now that we're in this new world. This new kind of atmosphere in the United States. If he's getting rid of DEI, I think content is going to change a little bit. I think there was so much that was thrown out that just so woke, so just really.
Listen,
I mean, I'm not really seeing this in life.
The
But
problem with DI is not the idea. Is you cannot overdo anything. You have to kind of slowly implement it into the system. You can't rub it in people's faces. You understand what I mean by that?
Yeah. Well, that's what every big corporation did.
Yes, but you can't. It's like, what Cato was saying. It's like, if you give the money to donation, is it sugarcoating? You know what I'm saying? Are they trying to play the part? It should be done organically.
It should be done on merit.
Yes.
No matter what. It doesn't show if you're merit. I don't care what you are. Black, white, Martian, green,
It doesn't
Asian.
matter. Nobody cares.
It's
right. You should still get the
based
opportunity
on
if you can
merit.
do it. You know what I mean?
Did you guys see the movie Am I Racist?
No.
No,
Oh, the one that no.
Oh,
I didn't see it.
yeah.
It was really well done.
From Ben Shapiro's company.
Yeah. It was really well done.
It's got great
But
reviews.
what's
I haven't
his name?
seen it.
Matt Walsh.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's like people bring this race card and all that. Nobody really gives a fuck anymore. Nobody's really racist, especially the newer generation. Anybody born after 1965, nobody cares.
It's all the media's fault. Mainstream media.
Media is the big
Evil.
big corporate.
Big time. All right, Modern Rugs LA. If you're in LA, you need the best Persian modern rug you can possibly find, handcrafted.
We don't do Persian.
No,
I
no,
gotta
no.
stop you.
Okay,
All the rugs are made in Nepal, Tibet,
Nepal.
and India. So
redo. No, seriously, I knew that, but I don't know how to explain it.
yeah, it's just
Because there's something unique and special about your rugs. Is
Yeah.
it the craftsmen that work on it, the men and women that work?
artisan weavers.
Yeah,
All natural materials, no synthetics.
they're so cool looking, Kato.
Like kid,
Yeah.
anything I do in my life, either I won't fuck with it or I'll do the best that I possibly can. I'm just all in or all out. There's no other way for me. And I've always told my kids that. You know, I have 2 straight A student kids. My daughter's a professor at Berkeley. Anything that I do in my life, I always got to do the best. Or I tell my kids that. Anything you do, you have your signature at the bottom. You got to be proud of it.
Meritocracy. It's on merit. So just
My
to get
wife's
right.
name is Merit, by the way.
Really? Yeah, love it.
I'm on fire today.
Love
Wait,
it.
so in Nepal,
Nepal,
you
India,
said it?
and Morocco.
Morocco. Wow.
You can't import rugs from Iran anymore. That's why.
I need to brush up on my knowledge.
Yeah, no, you can't because there's an embargo. You can't.
True.
Like if you want to get a Persian rug, you have to send it from Iran to Turkey. They change the label and then they send it.
Yeah,
But
these are
nobody
special.
wants Persian rugs anyways.
No.
Anyway. There's too flowery. It's too.
Oh, exactly.
grandma-ish.
They all look the same.
Yeah, nobody wants it.
Modern Rugs LA. I'm telling you. If you knew this client base, it'd be fun to
I'll
one
tell
day
you,
mention
Bradley Cooper,
Plus, you
nicest
go
guy.
in there and help lay it and show it and deliver it.
Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith, they were funny.
We have the same rug as Jada Pinkett.
Yeah,
We do.
you do.
That white one.
Oh,
with kind of
the jazz.
Yeah.
yeah.
Same one.
And Bradley Cooper, real quick, what rug does he have?
Oh, he got all alpacas. He got like the fluffy, furry ones that you just lie down and just. But he's so
Alpacas.
cute. He got it for his little kid's room because it was the only hypoallergenic rug in the market.
Wow.
And the kid just goes there and just. Now he's bigger. I'm sure. He's like
Alpaca.
5 or
Do you know what
6.
the #1 state is with alpaca?
Alpaca.
Based here in right in Indiana.
Indiana alpaca. Really?
That's what they're. That's their.
Really?
That's where they
we
all
get
are.
we get ours from Peru.
There you go.
Indiana, Guns N' Roses, and alpaca.
Well,
right?
you can't use that anymore because the amendment with the they're just now called N Roses.
Thank you.
Why?
No
Oh,
guns.
stop.
All right. Anything last? You holding anything back on the Menendez brothers that you want to share? Anything we don't know?
No, I want him to get out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want. That's the
35 years.
The finale of that, yeah. Because I mean, our criminal system today. I mean, we just everybody. They go in, they come out the next day. My uncle has a liquor store in like Sepulveda. He says he got robbed by the same guy twice with a gun, and they caught him the first time.
And he
How do-
comes
how-
back.
How
and
does that happen?
it just does.
How
and
does
there's-
that
And there's so
happen,
many
though?
stories like that.
How do
It's
you reward
infuriating.
bad behavior?
And he can't
Could
shoot
you
the
imagine
guy.
every time my kids failed a report or something, I'm like, oh, here's a cookie for you.
And-
You don't reward bad behavior. It
And
just does not set the right precedents.
And if your
You
uncle
don't.
has a gun pulled at him and he shoots the guy, your uncle probably.
Oh
goes
yeah,
to
he's
jail.
defending himself, right?
goes-
He's in
probably-
prison.
he probably
he'll
goes
be
to
next to the
prison.
Menendez brothers.
We got a letter. We got an email and a letter in the mail that said that if somebody comes into our showroom and steals, we're not allowed to touch them. We could be arrested.
Yeah, it's a.
Okay, the world has gone completely off
Berserk.
its hinges.
It's gonna get better.
Okay, it's gonna get better. It's gonna be. Hey, great convo, Sasha.
Thank
Love
you,
you.
bro.
Thanks so
Thank you.
much.
Are we
On
saying
sh-
goodbye or
Yeah,
anything?
we're gonna say goodbye.
Yeah.
You want to?
Oh no, that was it.
No, we're gonna wrap up the show and
Okay.
then we'll hang for a second. Kato?
Yeah.
All good, man?
Oh, it's greatness.
Okay, so the 2 episodes with Kato, awesome. The one that we did talking about so many things you don't know about Kato, the K Train, growing up prior to June of 1994. It's a fascinating episode, doing very, very well. We're going to drop the other one from June 12th, 1994, with a lot of stuff that we've never talked about on this show and some stuff you've never, ever heard before. So that's going to be coming up here later in January, but we're rocking and rolling.
It's and the I think the Netflix show is called OJ Manhunt.
Yeah.
Which wasn't it called the Boston Bomber Manhunt?
Yep.
Yeah. So
it's a manhunt series.
coming.
They're also doing one on Osama bin Laden, and the way they produce these, it's almost like a ticking clock,
Yeah.
right? It unveils it and lays out the story almost in real time. I cannot wait to see the one on Netflix. Hey, by the way, quick question: what do you think if we start doing a show live once a week? All right, everybody start thinking about that. We're going to have more on this, but we're thinking of going live starting at least one time per week, probably on a Monday or a Tuesday. So that will be coming up because there's so much good scandal to talk about.
Live shows
and
great.
true crime.
And in-person guest.
Yep.
Sasha brought the A game.
Sasha, you brought it today. Thank you
I
so
love
much.
being here, man. Thanks for having
For
me.
the one and only
It's a
K
pleasure.
Train. Zeus, great job over there, buddy. I'm Tom Zenner. Thanks so much for watching today. Follow the K Train. Follow me on social media. And we're going to keep this great content coming at you, coming at you, coming at you. I'll see you next time.